Welcome, new and returning viewers and listeners, to another exhilarating episode of the Agile Matrix Podcast, where we journey through the dynamic world of Agile, unraveling the mysteries and uncovering the gems that propel teams to greatness. And I'm your ever enthusiastic host, Tane. And today we're diving head first into the heart of Scrum, the enigmatic role of the product owner. So what am I saying to you? Prepare to be captivated as we explore the essence of the product owner role. Whether you are a seasoned Scrum enthusiast or just embarking on your Agile odyssey, this episode promises to ignite your passion for Agile excellence and unlock the secrets to mastering the art of product ownership. That's a lot to say, a lot to do. So do you know what? Grab your favorite beverage, settle in, and let's embark on the voyage of discovery together. Welcome to the Agile Matrix Podcast, where Agile dreams become a reality one episode at a time. So let's dive into it right now. Stay tuned. Okay, so who exactly is a product owner? Let's look at the Scrum framework, right? So in Scrum, the product owner is a key role accountable for for maximizing the value of the product resulting from the work of the Scrum team, right? So the product owner, that's he or she, represents, number one, the stakeholders such as customers, users, and sponsors, and acts very importantly as the voice of the customer throughout the whole development process. So the product owner defines and prioritizes the product backlog, communicates the vision and goals, and works collaboratively with the developers. The product owner also plays a crucial role in driving the success of the product. I usually call the product owner the CEO of the product, right? So the product owner in this equation of Scrum is accountable for a few things. Number one, defining and prioritizing the product backlog, right? So the product owner is responsible for creating and maintaining a prioritized list of requirements, features, and enhancements that we generally call the product backlog. So the product owner works closely with stakeholders to gather the requirements, to prioritize them based on business value, market needs, and customer feedback. That's number one. Number two, very important, the product owner communicates the vision and the goals. So the product owner communicates the product vision, the goals, prioritizes all this to the developers, and ensures alignment and focus. The product owner also provides clarity on the desired outcomes and guides the team in making decisions that support the overall vision. The product owner brings the value proposition and the understanding of it to the team, right? Then number three, I say the product owner makes decisions on behalf of the stakeholders. The product owner has the authority to make decisions, or well, should have the authority to make decisions on behalf of the stakeholders regarding features, the functionality of the product. The product also weighs trade-offs, negotiates priorities, and ensures that the team is working on the most valuable items at any given time. The product owner also works collaboratively with the developers, right? Throughout the sprint, not just at the start or at the end, but throughout the sprint, providing clarification on user stories, accepting or rejecting completed work, providing feedback on the product increment, right? And then, like I said earlier, the product owner also accepts and rejects work. So during each sprint, the product owner reviews completed work in progress, works with developers to either accept or reject work. Now, this will be based on the acceptance criteria, the definition of done, and whatever it is that the team has defined as what good would look like for the product, right? So these are just a few responsibilities of the product owner within Scrum, right? And it highlights how important the role is in driving success in service delivery, right? So you can see that this role is so important. The product owner ensures that the team are also working on the most valuable items at any given time. So they do this by prioritizing features based on business value, on market needs, on customer feedback. The product owner also helps the team focus on delivering value to the stakeholders with each sprint, right? And there's a point. Yes. Additionally, the product owner can, at the start, act as a bridge between the developers and the stakeholders. So he or she can facilitate communication, can provide clarity on requirements, and making informed decisions on behalf of the stakeholder. Why I say at the start is Obviously, as the team matures, you would expect that the developers and the team will have free access to the stakeholders, so that the product owner doesn't act as an impediment. That's the product owner being available, non-available, can actually impact on the team, get information from the stakeholders. So that's why I said at the start, maybe when the Scrum team is still pretty immature, the product owner might be the only one that actually has access and has conversations with the stakeholders. But over time, it's expected that the team members start to interface with the stakeholders so that there's no bridge and no impediment to the access to information that the stakeholders hold, right? So let's look at a couple of things that product owners kind of like struggle with, right? And then see if we can propose some solutions. And who knows, we might actually solve some of your problems here. So listen tight, listen close. So number one, we say lack of a clear vision and direction. So that plagues a lot of product owners. And how do you solve it? So first thing, the product owner should work closely with stakeholders to define a clear vision and goals for the product. This will also ensure alignment and focus across the team, right? So that's one way to solve it. Then we also look at poor stakeholder engagement. And how do you address this? So the product owner has to actively engage with the stakeholders, gather feedback, and incorporate their inputs in the product backlog. So you have to make that, or the product owner has to work to make that visible to the stakeholders so that they know that whatever input they're giving is being taken on board. So stakeholders will ensure that there's clear communication and regular communication with stakeholders. And like I always tell, whenever I have to coach product owners, you use your sprint review as a massive opportunity for this. So I would say to any product owner, if you're facing this problem, work with your Scrum Master to find out how you can solve the problem out. It might be a situation where the product owners or where the stakeholders don't know they're meant to be there. They don't know they're meant to be engaged in as regularly as you need them to. So work with your Scrum Master to see how you can solve that problem. Then also, you use your sprint review as an opportunity to foster, to strengthen the reins of communication and also determine expectations. So for example, you invite your stakeholders in for the sprint review. They come. In that sprint review, after the review, you can ask them, how do you want us to communicate with you progress? Or how do you want us to communicate challenges? Or who will be available for the team in case we need help with A, B, and C? Because sometimes you might find out that the problem that the stakeholders have is that they maybe are too high up in the company, so they don't have the time or the capacity to answer the team's questions, but they might have someone in their team that actually has executive authority or can stand in for them for the team, right? So that's a very good way to do it. Then also, you might have issues where the product owner has difficulty prioritizing the backlog. And I've seen this so many times. But there are many tools. I mean, you can use Moscow prioritization, you can use value-based prioritization, and then regular backlog refinement sessions to prioritize the backlog effectively. And then you have to communicate this clearly through your product backlog. It has to be obvious. Your product backlog must be alive as a product owner. It has to be evident that you're actually working on the product backlog to keep the order of priority. Because you see, for stakeholders that have access to your product backlog reveals your thinking about the priority, about the value proposition of what you're working on. Okay? So, and like I always tell people, it's very important that you note one thing. I've heard this before and it always makes me laugh. When everything is important, nothing is important. So you see, as a product owner, you have to learn these three powerful words. Ready? They're yes, no, and not yet. What are we saying? You can't do everything at the same time. So you have to be able to prioritize and communicate that as well. So there's some things that you're going to say yes to. Some you might have to say no to. And if that is a problem, then you have to learn how to say not yet. Because you have to understand that your team is a fixed capacity train. There's a certain number of items they can work on per sprint. So you can't say yes to every single thing. Like when you get on the train, you see on the train, there are a number of seats. Some are prioritized for the elderly, for the sick or pregnant women. And then there are the other seats. So the question is, if something is important, it has a higher level of priority. So that might go, like in the train, go to where the pregnant woman seats or the sick or the elderly. Then look at, okay, what other space do I have? Then the question becomes, okay, we've prioritized the really high priority. What's next? Once the train is full, it goes. So what the product owner should be concerned with is, okay, what's the order of priority that goes on this train, one, and then working with the Scrum Master to ensure that the train is effective enough to come back quick to pick up the next high value items. So that way you're able to deliver, a certain level of effectively, efficiently, and reliably, as opposed to trying to say everything is possible to do at this time. And then like an example, the train breaks down on the track and nobody gets anything, right? That isn't good. Okay. Then also inability to make decisions. So what do you do to tackle this? The product owner should be able to gather relevant information, weigh trade-offs, make informed decisions that align with the goal of the product and the organization. So you gather all the information and use your prioritization and use the information that the product owner has gathered to make a decision. And then finally, you look at overcommitting to the team, right? Overcommitting the team rather to work. So what are we saying here? This is when the product owner says yes to everything. So what the product owner should do is work with the developers. Look at your previous sprints. Let that be, like we say, yesterday's weather. Let that be a guide as to what is possible for the team to work on in the next sprint, right? It's good for the product owner to take in the information, but that role is meant to be a role that can make decisions. So you can take in all the suggestions and all that, like the Scrum Guide says, it's not a committee. The product owner can take in information from the committee, from the stakeholders and all that. But the product owner has to right-size the requirements with the team. And that's what happens in sprint planning. The product owner comes and says, I'm looking to see if we can achieve this. And then working with the developers, they can say, okay, we did this number of items last sprint. So we're looking at that and we're gauging that for the next sprint. So what does that give us? And it's in that conversation they bring out the sprint goal. So it's very important that the product owner understands that there is a fixed capacity train. I've said that before, right? But that's how important it is. So what are we saying? As you wrap up today's episode, right? Let's reflect on the importance of the product owner role. Why it is crucial for product owners to be trained and equipped with the necessary skills and knowledge to excel in their role. After all, when you think of the whole equation, the success of the team depends on the effectiveness of the product owner in driving value, fostering collaboration, and delivering results that meet the needs of the stakeholders, right? So it's very important. The product owner has to be trained. And also, very important, also has to have the authority to act. So remember, a skilled product owner is the linchpin of Agile success, weaving together the threads of vision, collaboration, and value to create a tapestry of innovation and impact. Remember that. What can I say but to thank you for tuning into today's episode of Agile Matrix Podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe or follow us for more insights, for more tips and interesting discussions. Until the next time, keep embracing the values, keep innovating, keep thriving your Agile journey. Together, we can transform the way we work and achieve extraordinary results. Have a fantastic day and thank you for joining in today. Cheers, everyone.